Hello and
Yeah.
welcome. Are you doing it?
Yeah, my bad, man. You're good. Go for it.
Started us off. I'm cool with it. Go.
Cool. No, yeah, it was good afternoon, everybody. Happy Tuesday here in Pittsburgh, PA, where it's finally starting to feel like springtime. I'm Andrew Destin, reporter for the Post-Gazette. We're joined by Jason Mackey, our Pirates beat reporter, to talk a little Bucks action, a team that's given us a lot to talk about, given the on-field results through just a handful of games, injuries, good vibes around the team, you name it. Jason, first off, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. It's been a long time since I've seen you. All of what, 10 hours, something like that. We were in the press box together last night, and I'm sorry. I thought I was hosting, or I thought the format was different, so I didn't mean to step on your toes, but I'm doing well. Ready to talk some Buccos.
Yeah, we're keeping it casual, just talking a little Pirates action, and here to do that here today. And unfortunately, though, first order of business to get to on the Pirates front, Oneil Cruz, obviously, serious injury given out to him, the diagnosis, 4 months. Jason, just kind of want to get your thoughts first on that. Just everything that this means for the team, what you're hearing on the diagnosis for Cruz, what the timetable actually looks like for the return. Let's get right into that. Obviously, some important news there for the Pirates.
Yeah, I saw some reaction to this yesterday, and I think it's probably our just tendency as a society. You're looking at the worst possible outcome, thinking that he's done for the year. He's not going to come back for 4 months, and then he's got to work back this rehab assignment, whatever. It's built in to have a rehab assignment. Like, he's going to be moving around a little bit. I mean, obviously, it's going to take a lot to get him back to game shape, but that 4-month timetable is when they expect him to be back in games at PNC Park or on the road, like major league contests. I don't think it's, and I guess the other like doom and gloom thing that I saw, Andrew, was, this is like career altering or something. Like, it's not. I talked to Jason Kendall yesterday about his, which was also bad and potentially more severe than Cruz's. He continued to have a great career as a catcher, and his ankle really doesn't bother him that much to this day. Like, I don't see it being a catastrophic issue for Cruz. Like, obviously, does that suck for the Pirates right now? Sure. He's their best hitter, their most exciting player. I want to see him play. I want to see him be a part of a winner. But I don't look at it like, oh my goodness, this guy's career is ruined. Like, I think we just need to pump the brakes on that.
Yeah, and if you haven't already, check out the article Jason wrote about Jason Kendall, kind of relating to exactly what Cruz is going through. Check that out at post-gazette.com. But from my vantage point, obviously early on here, getting to know Cruz, but just such an impactful loss for the team in general. But I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Certainly more in the know than myself. But just in terms of what this means for his long-term career, all those sorts of things. If you read Jason Kendall's story, it kind of paints a good picture of it. That yes, this is not good news, but it's not career-ending news. You would be fair to say.
And the other thing with this, Andrew, like how you replace Cruz, I think this really hurts the Pirates in a way that they don't have a clear replacement right now. I feel like some people might be trying to shoehorn Rodolfo Castro into that role. I mean, he's not that. Maybe shoehorning Ji-Hwan Bae into that role. I'm not sure he's that. They each have elements that can match up with what Cruz did. Like, at times we've seen Castro have power. Ji-Hwan Bae obviously has plenty of speed. I want to see him at the top of the lineup. I'm not sure that Ke'Bryan Hayes is the answer there, but you're not going to replace Oneil Cruz. That's the part of this that really, really hurts. Like, I agree with you. I think he's going to be fine long-term, but it really is difficult for the Pirates. If this was to Carlos Santana or Ji-Man Choi, like, you'd have the other one to replace him. If it was the outfield, they're much more insulated there. Shoot, even third base. I mean, not that you can replace Ke'Bryan Hayes' defense, but I feel like you could probably do things a little differently. I mean, Oneil Cruz is legitimately a unicorn. That word gets thrown around a lot, but like, there ain't too many of him around Major League Baseball. And that part of it just stinks. I mean, it stinks for Pirates fans who are going to go to the ballpark this summer thinking like, man, there's a good, exciting team. And who's the player that those people want to see the most? It's Oneil Cruz.
Right. No, and it's after the collision at home plate there on Sunday against the White Sox. White Sox manager Pedro Grifol put it best. He was like, this is a guy who I'm a fan of his. I'm excited to see him. He's good for baseball. So it's not just an admiration within the Pirates clubhouse or within the Pittsburgh community. This is a guy who is well known throughout baseball and is in that stratosphere of people who are impactful to the game. So it's not only just affecting Pirates fans, but this affects baseball on a greater scale.
No, it really does. And he should have been a fantastic breakout story. He really should have been. And, it's not going to be rookie of the year, but is he going to establish himself as a possible star? I think he was. I really do. And I still think he has that sort of potential. 40, 40, 30, 30, like that sounds insane. Anybody who's seen Oneil Cruz run and hit, it's not. It's really not. And then, I'm watching his at-bats all throughout spring training and even the beginning of the regular season. This is a kid with a definitively more mature approach. Is he still raw? Absolutely. Is he a finished product? No. But we saw him come up and he's chasing things wildly. He's struggling against left-handers. He's getting out of his plan pretty easily. On defense, he's not moving his feet terribly well. Throws are sailing. Well, guess what? This season, a lot of that stuff really improved in a short period of time. That was so exciting to see that this kid, he can do those things. Not only is he freakishly talented, but he works at it. He can improve. He realizes areas that he has to improve. So, yeah, that's the bummer for me where, a lot of this stuff was really starting to show progress. And now because of the injury, obviously something out of his control, we're back to square one.
Yeah. A shame for Cruz, a shame for the Pirates. And, aside from that, though, certainly, debilitating news for the team. But otherwise, by all indications, it's been a solid start to the season for the Pirates. 6-4, big sweep of the Red Sox in Boston. Took 2 out of 3 from the White Sox. There's obviously a lot to discuss in this front, but Jason, what have you liked so far from the team that's kind of helped them, on that path to having the solid start that they've had to this point?
Yeah, and it's interesting, Andrew. I feel like we can sort of parse through what's good, what's bad, and there's been a little bit of both. But if we go in the what's good scenario, I'll start with today's starter, Mitch Keller. I thought he's been legit ace material and has handled himself as such. Johan Oviedo, after that first inning in Boston, has been outstanding. Really like that. It's going to be important for those guys to carry the rotation because part of the bad, Vince Velasquez, Rich Hill just have not been good enough. It's been tough having Austin Hedges out. But I'm going to stick with the good stuff here for now. I think Carlos Santana has been excellent. He's starting to find his stroke at the plate. Had a quiet spring, but he's been impactful with the bat. And I love what he's done team leadership wise. Sticking up for Oneil Cruz, looking after some of the younger Latin guys, just gets it, man, just gets it. Andrew McCutchen in that same vein can still play. Nobody can sit here and tell me that Andrew McCutchen, they brought Andrew McCutchen back as a sideshow. No, he's a legitimate option in their outfield. Brian Reynolds has been arguably the best player in baseball. Obviously 1,500 OPS isn't sustainable, but is Brian Reynolds going to get off to a much better start than he did last year? Yes. I think I see somebody who's tremendously motivated to prove something to somebody and is doing it. I've loved what I've seen from Reynolds. Other positive stuff, I guess I'd go to the bullpen. I mean, Bednar's been great. Holderman's been great, but they're getting the ball to them more effectively. I like the way they're using Dwayne Underwood Jr. They're using Will Crow and Chase DeYoung in ways that make sense. It's a good mix down there. Rob Zastryzny has been a pleasant surprise. I realized, it was not good last night, but on balance, that group has been more effective than they have last season. So some stuff you can kind of hang your hat on, Andrew. Honestly, I mean, that's having a decent bullpen, fielding the ball, getting these types of performances from Mitch or Oviedo or, whatever, having Reynolds be good. We're not asking for a ton. You're asking for basic stuff there.
Right. And a couple of things to dissect there. The first that kind of stands out to me is, Andrew McCutchen defensively. There was a lot of talk before the season that this is a guy who's primarily going to DH. It'll be the spot starts occasionally in the outfield. And from my vantage point, it feels like he's held his own when he's been out there in the outfield and right field, for the most part, making the plays that have been asked of him.
Yeah, no, he absolutely has, man. He has not been, and it's been helpful too, because, Jack Sawinski has obviously struggled. I don't think Kanan Smith-Njigba is one of their best defensive options. I'd rather have McCutchen out there. Nothing against Kanan. I just, he's probably a future DH. Connor Joe's been fine. Had a hot start, a little quiet last night, but whatever. It's just been, it helps them if McCutchen can play the field. And the other thing I don't love about the way the Pirates are currently constructed, they're just, it's not an efficient use of talent when it comes to right field, first base, and DH. And I've, railed about the presence of G-Man Choi, and it's nothing against G-Man Choi. I like, he hit a home run last night. Hopefully he finds his power. That'll come in real handy with Oneil Cruz being out. But I don't understand paying somebody $4.65 million, to effectively sit on the bench.
Right. And it seems like, maybe he's going to get some more time here just based on the way that this defense or this offense is structured now without Cruz. It seems like, Derek Shelton was saying this last night, is that they might not have a choice, that with all the left-handed options they have on the bench and on the roster in general, that when a lefty's out there like a Framber Valdez last night for the Astros, they're going to have to put guys out there that the righty-lefty splits, that's what they're there for. Lefty on lefty, not so much. G-Man Choi, yeah, he gets a home run, but are those the kind of sustainable things that we might have to see from the Pirates? It kind of seems like with the way the roster is constructed right now.
Yeah. And by the way, a viewer's got a glimpse of, behind the curtain or see how the sausage is made or something. I'm an idiot and I left my phone across the table. But when you have a Brian Reynolds contract extension sort of hanging out there and Oneil Cruz with injury news and whatever else, like, it makes you nervous when your phone rings at a time where you shouldn't expect it to ring. But it's actually just something about your car's warranty. So anyway, false alarm there. I had to get up and grab my phone. Normally, I'm not so stupid to leave it on the other side of the table, but I did it this time. Anyway, yes, Andrew, I agree with you. They have to get creative. They've had to do this. They have to play matchups. But I think you wrote about this with G-Man Choi. Like, he doesn't hit left-handers a lot and doesn't hit them terribly well. And Framber Valdez usually doesn't give up home runs to left-handed hitters. Sometimes you're either going to have to play a hunch or just run guys out there who are productive. And I like that. I mean, I get having a baseline that start, you want to look for matchups, but if you don't get matchups, like, ride the hot hand or just say, like, man, I got to get this guy going. Choi hasn't been hot, but you need Choi to do something. Get in there and go do it, man. Like, I don't care about the matchup. I think part of that is baseball. Part of that is feel. And I think Derek Shelton's going to get tested with that stuff.
Right. And it might mean a lot of playing time, too, for Mark Mathias, at least against left-handed pitching. Got a glimpse of him yesterday. I mean, a guy who's been a little bit of a journeyman going through his baseball time. Some stints there with the Rangers, with the Brewers a little bit. Shelby said that he likes his bat. We didn't really get to see that terribly much last night, but somebody who also could be getting some extended run here for who knows how long. With Cruz out, whether they like to get anybody from AAA, bump them up, or some other prospects along the way. But Mathias seems like somebody who could also get a lot of opportunities with Cruz out, which I'd love your thoughts on that one, Jason.
I just gave my thoughts on that one. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I just don't. And it's not like I'm enamored with Tucupita Marcano, but I mean, he was performing better at AAA. He didn't get an opportunity. It's not a natural fit with Travis Swaggerty. Like, I've heard the feedback about they need to get Travis Swaggerty up. Well, he doesn't play shortstop. He doesn't play second base. They need somebody to play those positions to, at least allow Bay Castro to go over there. But, Marcano does. I guess I get them wanting to give Mathias more run than, they've given to this point, and they want to investigate what he did during 24 games at the end of last season. I mean, Phillip Evans had a good 24-game run too. And I'm not sure anybody would be, super upset if he wasn't on the team, which he's obviously not. Like, I don't know. I've seen them try to plug and play too many multi-position guys that don't amount to anything. And they do it because they're versatile and had like one little brief snippet of performance. I've watched a lot of Mathias at bats, and I haven't seen anything that convinces me that he's anything other than that.
Right. No, and it's it's just, you bring up Tucupita Marcano. I mean, truly hitting the cover off the ball in AAA, which you couldn't have said the same maybe about him in spring training, the results down there, but hitting 500 is hitting 500. It's not sustainable, but he had 7 doubles over the last 28 at bats.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. And he's done nothing at the major league level, and he did nothing in spring. Okay, well, the guy's hitting down there now. If I'm running the major league team and I need a spot, it's like, this is what I need to cover. Who's my best hitter? And I don't know. I mean, there's nuance there. I'm not watching the Indianapolis games. I don't know what Mark Mathias at bats look like. Maybe he's controlling the strike zone better than Tucupita Marcano. I don't know. I'm just saying that what I've seen out of Mark Mathias during spring training and then last night doesn't lead me to believe that he's going to be some huge offensive force here. I come away from the Cruz injury, Andrew, with the same stuff I was saying before. Like, somebody's going to have to hit, man. Like, I don't care if it's G-Man Choi. I don't know if it's, Key Brian Hayes has been awful quiet. Like, they're going to need him to hit a little bit more like he did in spring training. maybe Kutch goes on some sort of heater. Maybe Jack Sawinski finds it. I don't know. But I mean, somebody who's not currently producing is going to have to start producing, because it has sort of a trickle down. Like, one of the things Brian Reynolds, you and I were both around for this yesterday, talked about, or maybe this was Shelton, talking about that, like, he actually has some protection in the lineup, which is great. Like, Kutch is producing at 3, Cruz is producing at leadoff, put Reynolds between the two of them. I love it. But, that's not happening now. You've only got Kutch, and you need somebody producing in that leadoff spot. So we'll see.
Yeah, and certainly still a spot that they're going to figure out what the play in there is. It seems like Hayes against left-handed pitching, against righties. We'll see how they elect to go with that. But you bring up Jack Sawinski, and kind of wanted to talk about him just because kind of Pirates fans' worst fears was that the struggles we saw last year would resurface. He had a lot of highs last year, as we know, about the power, his ridiculous splits, home versus away, righty versus lefty. Start of the year has not been a kind one to him, but some better at bats his last time out. Saw him drive a sacrifice fly in that 1-0 win against the White Sox. Maybe, could be something that points toward things going in the right direction, but by all indications, seems like it's been a rough start for Sawinski as well.
Yeah, it's a tough one, man. I preface a lot of answers about Jack with this. I really like him. I really like him as a person. I think he's a great kid. I think he puts a lot into this. I think he's putting an enormous amount of pressure on himself, and it is not an indictment of him personally. But I'd probably send him down. I just think that would be the better thing for him and the team right now. Here's where I'd go with it, though, because I agree with you. His at-bats, yes, 2 days ago, were better. He looked more in control. But it's been weird. He had one game in Boston where he looked really good, and he looked like he was starting to turn a corner. It might have been the first game of the series. And then either the second or the third, the next one that he played, he looked lost again. And then we come home, and he's sort of like hot and cold again. If they play him tonight, and I think there's a righty on the mound, so he'll probably be playing whatever. Like, the next time he's in there, to not pin myself down, if he doesn't look better, if that improves, like, patience, get the swing and miss out of there, a decent approach, making some contact, preferably. If it's bad Jack Sawinski, I might just say, like, we need to get you down there. We need to take the pressure off. I want you to play every day. I want you to not care about the results. I want you to work on stuff and just get back to being you. You'll be back. You're not going to lose your job. We want you. We value you. But right now, it's just not the best thing. That's the way I look at it. And I'd probably go down there and bring Swaggerty up and see what he can do.
Right. Yeah. And you beat me to it. I was just going to say, is Swaggerty the next move that you go there? Because he had a lot of good moments there in spring training, and somebody who's fought some adversity with coming up through the Pirate system. Seems like in a good stretch for him. I guess that would warrant a call up in your opinion there.
What are you saying? He fought adversity by coming up through the Pirate system?
No.
Just I know while coming up through the Pirate. Yeah. Like, he deserves a look, man. He deserves a look. And I get what they did in spring training. Shelton said, we're going to send him away because he needs to play more. Okay. I mean, I didn't understand what they did preceding that. I've gone on this rant before about, like, 4 out of the previous 5 days, I think he sat or came off the bench in one of the 5 or something. Like, he wasn't playing a lot when they sent him out. And then they send him out and saying, like, well, he's got to play a lot. Why didn't you play him when he's here? It's a spring training game. But anyway, like, I get getting him in the lineup every day. I've seen Travis Swaggerty since I got on the beat. He was drafted in 2018. I got on the beat in May 2019. We've met. I've seen him a lot. This is the best I've ever seen. The most confident I've ever seen him, the most relaxed I've ever seen him. And he's getting to a lot of power, man. Remember some of those bombs he hit in spring? Like, he had the 2 furthest home runs of any Pirate. And it's theoretically this undersized kid who should be able to run and throw, but, like, he's got some pop. And so I want him to keep doing that. And if it takes Indianapolis to do it, cool. He's mostly done that down in Indy. So that's what, you can let Jack go. You can let him work some things out. But if Swaggerty keeps producing, sooner or later, he's going to deserve a chance, and you can't continue to ride it out with the kid on the major league roster.
And on that note, is there anybody else you're looking at in AAA or maybe even down at the stretches of AA? I know the curve season is really new here, and we're jumping the gun maybe a little bit there. But is there anybody else you look at down in Indy that would either warrant a call up in addition to Swaggerty or in place of him? Is there anybody that stands out to you aside from the guys we've talked about in Marcano and Swaggerty?
I don't think so, Andrew. I really don't. I don't think I'd go there. I've got my views on Andy, and I'm okay with him being there. I know people disagree with me on that, and that's fine, but I've watched him. I know what I'm looking at. Like, he's not ready defensively. And you can make the argument that he could come up here and learn, from Austin Hedges or whatever. I don't know about you. I learn more from doing. I would have trouble somebody is talking to me and me getting practice reps. Like, me getting those reps in the game would be better than anything I could learn on the sidelines. So I get playing Endy. I didn't understand the other day, like, them using him at first. That seems like a waste of time, but maybe you're trying to get ABs and relax his legs. I'm not sure. But anyway, Endy would be one logical candidate. I wouldn't go Peguero. He's not ready. I know you wrote about it in today's pipeline, like, just hasn't been able to find the power, which I agree with. And there's not enough there to necessitate that call up. Jared Triolo's out with surgery, so he's not an option. I'm looking at 40-man guys that they would potentially make that move. I don't see it. Guys that are on the roster, like, maybe if they need a reliever right now, it's going to be Robert Stevenson. So it's not going to be any of the younger guys. It's not going to be like Erie. Bob's the next one up there. Yeah, man, Marcano. And am I missing anybody? I don't think I am. Like, I wouldn't go down to Double-A and get Henry. That's not the time. He needs to be down there and working as well. And I don't think I'm forgetting anybody. And Cal Mitchell's another one on the 40. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and Mitchell's had a really slow start to the season down there in AAA. And to your point, I completely agree with you on the catching dynamic, what they've done with Henry and what they've done with Endy. It's the right move, get them at different levels, get them at regular at-bats, regular time behind the plate, and it's just not time yet for those guys. And that's okay. Your bigger priority should be getting Hedges back, right? Like, he's, you haven't even gotten a huge stint with him just because of the concussion, and getting him back into the lineup. So, getting him back maybe would be a bigger priority than rushing one of the prospects that you're thinking pretty highly of.
And that's the thing. Like, Pirates fans should know this. They should know this. They should have seen Gregory Polanco and how he was brought along. And, like, he was deficient defensively, and the Pirates paid for it. Like, I'm not saying that would have corrected itself if they would have waited a little bit longer, but it wouldn't have hurt, and I do think they rushed Greg to the major leagues. And, you can point out the number of games that he played, but, like, I looked at Greg covering him in 2020. He wasn't he wasn't what you would want him to be. Like, there's too much striking out. It's too inconsistent. There's too much, stuff in the field where every darn thing is an adventure. Like, I don't want to do that to Endy, and I don't want to have that guy behind the plate. Like, I think there's a huge misunderstanding what it takes to be a major league catcher. And I think you're starting to see a little bit of it being around the team, seeing what Heineman, DeLay, Hedges, anybody, for before them, Cervelli, Martin, Jacob Stallings, like, what these guys put into it. I mean, shoot, I watch every road trip. I watch Austin Hedges, like, grab his binder full of things and scouting reports, and they're going to, like, this pre-planning meeting, this meeting, sitting and talking to pitchers. Like, you need to be able to command a room and know what's going to happen out there. And Endy hasn't, and that's not his fault. It's just like he's barely played any games at AAA. At least let him play some at AAA. If he proves you wrong, if he's that good that you have to bring him up, bring him up. We're not talking. He's not doing that right now, neither offensively nor defensively. So just leave him.
Right. No, absolutely. One more thing I wanted to get to here, Jason, finish out on another good note, was talk home opener. Special moment there, PNC Park, packed house, the blackout crowd as asked. From your vantage point, I mean, you've been around this team for a while here now. Take me through that moment from your perspective. What was that like for you?
Well, I want to see your perspective too, because it was also your first. I've seen some things with this team, both good and bad, and I know how this fan base can come alive. And I'll give my perspective on it first before turning it over to you. But to me, it is the first time in this regime, since 2019, where there was, like, true belief, passion, excitement for something that can happen. That was what I dreamt about in 13, 14, 15. Like, I was not on the beat at the time. I got on the Penguins beat in 14, was doing that. It's why I switched over to Pirates. Like, I dreamed of having that again. I know what the city can be when it has a baseball team that's good and how alive it comes. It's a sneaky good baseball town. And we felt that. I think the players felt that. And I think it's still there, but that atmosphere, I mean, it was the coolest thing that I've ever seen in that place. Second might be the Yankees series last year, like, just seeing the lines outside. But that was also like a pro Yankees crowd. It's not like a group of people that they so badly want baseball to matter, and they want to cheer Kutch, and they want to celebrate Russell Martin and AJ Burnett, like, three guys that obviously should be celebrated. It was just such a cool moment, man. I loved it so much. It was honestly reaffirming to me. Not that I've ever wavered in like, oh my God, I left a hockey beat that had Sidney Crosby on it and a team that had won the Stanley Cup 2 years prior. Like, if I lost my mind, what am I doing? I mean, I've certainly had those feelings of self-doubt, and then I've leveled out. But, I think about it in that larger context where, like, yeah, this is it, man. Like, this is what it's supposed to be. This is what it can be. The last 3 years have sucked. Certainly people are upset. I hear from them all the time. But, like, that's the good side of it. And that was just so fun. What'd you think?
Oh, for me, it was special, man. And it's, I'm obviously, not from the city, haven't been able to experience what Pirates baseball is like at its peak. But for me, been to a lot of Giants and A's games over the years at home. And there have been some special ones I was able to go to. In 2010, game 162, where the Giants had to beat the Padres to win the division. Mm-hmm. 2013, Stephen Vogt walk-off against Rick Porcello and the Tigers was at that one. Those were special moments for me that I've always held at a different pantheon. They were at another level. And obviously a home opener is not going to approach those in terms of the magnitude. But for me, the passion, the energy in the ballpark, and what you could sense that there was something different happening there, it approached that for me. For me, it was a special moment. First home opener I had been able to go to in my life, which is a special one for me. And to have it be that moment for these fans and for this city, held a different magnitude. And when McCutchen walked to the plate, as somebody who watched him play for the Giants during that half season and kind of got a little bit of an appreciation for him, but certainly not to the level that this city appreciates McCutchen. That was pretty unique watching the 67 seconds that he got. Shout out to Major League Baseball. Tip the cap on that one. Letting the pitch clock hang off for a second there, because that was pretty cool.
I'm telling Shelton you used Pantheon, by the way.
Please.
I think I said this one here before, but there's a running joke between the writers and Derek Shelton about any big words he uses, and I keep a file on my phone that has all of the big words, the date, and the opponent that he used them. So I will let him know that Andrew dropped a Pantheon on our pod. Not that that's that big, but you don't say Pantheon.
April 11th, pregame Houston Astros, right to Derek Shelton.
Right, that's right.
Awesome. Well, I know you got to head off to the ballpark, Jason. I'm going to let you go here. Thanks for hopping on the podcast today. This was great, man. Glad we could do this.
Thanks. Let's do it again. Thanks, Andrew.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thank you for checking it out. And if you haven't already, check out our subscription deal in the description below. $6, 6 months of access. Lots of sports news to keep up with. You don't want to miss it. And we'll catch you all again next time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you liked the video, please like it and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you enjoyed it on Apple Podcasts, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. For 6 months of digital access to post-gazette.com for just $6, click the link down in the description.